Hey guys, this is just a quick video that goes along with the completed notes that were posted, and it's a review of sine and cosine graphs from Math 3. So I already filled the table in here with the radians, like 0 degrees is 0 radians, 30 degrees, pi over 6 radians. I already filled that in for the table. And then these are just all the special right triangles, and then the quadrantal angles, the ones that end on like the X or Y axis. So you can find the answer without a calculator, but then I also went ahead and wrote, like, for square root 2/2, the decimal for that's like 0.7. And the square root 3/2, the decimal's like 0.86 something. And so since we're trying to graph the parent graph right now, the decimal was just more helpful. So hopefully these two graphs kind of look familiar, at least the shapes of them. So remember, this is just one, we'll kind of go over the vocab at the bottom, but this was just one period of the sine function or one period of the cosine function. And so for one period of sine, sine starts in the middle, and unless it's reflected, sine goes up first to the maximum point, goes back to the middle, all the way down to the minimum, and it ends in the middle. So we'll always start in the middle, go all the way up, all the way down, back to the middle. And that's actually, in the definitions kind of down at the bottom, that's what one period's definition is. After this, it will start to repeat itself. So from 360 degrees, it would start to go up more, back to the maximum, it would just start to repeat. Okay. And then for cosine starts at its maximum, and then it goes to the middle, all the way down, back to the middle, all the way up to the maximum. So when we talk about, like max versus min, we are talking about the y. And the parent graph, at least for sine and cosine, very similar. If the sine graph is just a shift of the cosine graph. If we started here in the cosine graph, we would see a sine. It would go up, back down. Okay. All right, so then if you kind of look down, just a recap of the vocab. We just talked about period. It's how long, it's a horizontal distance, and it is how long it takes until it starts to repeat itself. So with no transformation, sine and cosine are 360 degrees. Amplitude and vertical shift are both talking about vertical distances. And a lot of times when people start graphing them, they get them confused. So the vertical shift is where the middle of the graph ends up being. So vertical shift is going to be, if you're looking at this graph, vertical shift is where the middle ends up being. And so, it says the amount that it's moved up or down halfway between the max or min, but maybe put a note that this is where the middle of the graph is. Okay. And then amplitude is a distance. So amplitude is always positive. And it is just like it says, it's how high and low the curve goes from the middle or the midline. It's also half the distance between the max and min, or you could think of it as the distance from the max to the middle. Okay, so the amplitude is that distance from the top to the middle, or it is half the distance from the top to the bottom. Whichever one is easier for your problem. Okay. Phase shift, the last one, that's just how much the graph is shifted left or right. So if cosine starts at its maximum, then right now on the parent graph, that's at 0, but maybe it shifted right 30 degrees, and then it would have a phase shift of 30.